What's up? What's up? What's up? What is up, guys? I recently bought a car off a marketplace, so I was going to show you guys the listing. Now, go over some things that I looked for when targeting this car. We just talk about a little bit how we sealed the deal and tied up all the loose ends. Nice. 96. All right, so this is the listing right here. I mean, honestly, this has really high miles, but these cars are known for their high mileage and reliability and damn near bulletproof engine that comes from the factory. But I'm always looking for a deal too. I'm always looking for a car to wrench on. If I just bought one that was perfect, that would be no fun. So I do look for something that I can get a deal, get it at the right price, and it might need some work done. More content, baby. I bought this car for $1,600. This was not the price that this person had listed this car for. He changed that on Marketplace when we were negotiating the price and I was trying to get more information, and he just absolutely needed to sell that, which comes down to number one, why I targeted this listing. He was a motivated seller. He was saying that he had to sell this car. He even put in that he had to sell this car by a certain time frame. So I knew going in, looking at this guy had to sell this car, so we had to negotiate and come to the price that he needed to get off this car, and that I knew I could get into this vehicle and not pay too much. Was a motivated seller, not somebody I know what I got, jerk off machine, way too much money, they love their car, they don't really want to sell it. This seller needed to sell this car, he wanted to sell this car. Let's just ignore this first part because that wasn't there until I was buying the car. So it says well maintained, runs great, new timing belt done at 280K, new brakes, new steering last month. All right, so new brakes and new steering is super vague, but okay. Cons: needs AC compressor. That is a pretty big con. We're going to show you guys how to do that. And driver's side door needs work, motor and panel. So that, if you know about SC chassis, the motors wear out. It's not uncommon for these motor regulators to go out on these cars, so that was one thing I was already expecting going into this car, and especially the budget I was gonna go in the lower price range of this car, and knowing that some stuff was going to need to be replaced and fixed, and most likely was gonna be a window motor. Now it does say panel, and we'll get into that a little bit later. All this stuff where I knew that this was going to be a good car to target if I was going to buy one. Not that I needed to, I was just always looking for a deal. You guys know I'm lurking on Facebook. So if you're lurking on Facebook and looking for a car, maybe don't fall in love with the first car, because I looked at a handful of these cars. I'm always looking at cars on Facebook Marketplace, and I'm looking to target to see what they're talking about in the description and see if I can find what the edge is to get over. And you should do the same thing when you're looking to buy your car. See if you can find any telltale signs that says, hey, this is a motivated seller, or hey, this seller I'm not going to waste my time on because they are too high and they're not going to come down. I'll tell you right now, this car was over double this price when it was originally listed. One thing that we can see in this picture is we can see the whole car backed up. It does have some damage on the front driver's side fender. Obviously the paint is in much need of repair. A lot of the clear coat's missing. It's pretty dull. The hood, the sides of the car do have clear coat. This car was in Florida, so the Florida sun, it hangs up high and it beats down. So it's not uncommon to see cars come out of here that are missing the clear coat because they've been sitting outside the whole time and not taken care of. The paint hasn't been kept up on for that clear coat to start to show. A little bit of damage on the fender. Not great, but we are going to get this car cheaper. And remember, this car was over twice this. I think originally this car was listed at like $4,500. Passenger side, so we've got the driver's side in the first picture. Now we've got the passenger side. They're not the best pictures, but they're not the worst pictures. What we can see is everything that's going on this car. This side looks pretty good. It's complete. If you can actually tell, those are factory wheels too. It's got the emblems on there. At this point in my head, I'm thinking this car is untouched, which is a huge plus when I go to look for cars. Just another picture of the side, not great. A tip for taking pictures: take your phone out of portrait mode, put it in landscape mode. You know, like this, go like this. Hold your phone like this, hold your phone like this. That's a tip for selling, because who cares about all this stuff? The subject matter is the car. All right, whatever. This picture is whatever. Now we've got a picture of the back panel. The lights are intact. The emblems are intact. There's no major damage to the back. That's a plus. Antenna's even up. means it works. All right, here's a picture that catches my attention. The underneath the hood shot of the car, there's no cone filter on it. The plastic isn't removed. It is complete, and that's number one. What I'm looking for is completeness in the car. Interior shots, not great. This is a shot from the back seat looking forward. This is where I started with this car, is what does the interior look like? I want more. I need to see if those seats are damaged and what the back seat is, because if you know anything about this chassis, these seats get tore up. Leather seats that are older get so neglected. So this is where I first start negotiating, is I want to see more pictures of the seats. So maybe for you as well, looking at buying a car, you want to see what that interior looks like, see if it's even going to be worth your time, get good pictures of the seats. Of course, we've got a picture of the gauge cluster. Not a good picture, not a good picture. He's basically showing you that the gauge cluster works, and it has pretty high mileages. One thing is on this gauge cluster, that bulb's out, but overall those bulbs are in pretty good condition. There's one bulb that's out over on the 100-mile-an-hour range. Once again, take your phone from this and turn it like this, and then back to it. So that's the pictures. They weren't great, which is good for me. He's not getting the traction that he wants on selling the car. We know he's a motivated seller, so he needs to sell the car. The pictures aren't perfect, but they're not the worst pictures. So now I hit him up with let's see the interior. He sends me some pictures of the interior. Okay, so right here you can see the first thing I said. I don't say, hey, is this car still available? I'm gonna assume it's available. It's still up. I hit him with, how's the interior? He's gonna give it a 7 out of 10 because the door panel's off. Get some more pictures. All right, we see the back seat is not ripped, which is good. There is some discoloration at the top, which is unpreferred, but it is complete. The leather's unripped, so I am interested still at this point. The seats, the front seats, which we don't see in the listing, but we get pictures afterward, we can see that the front seat leather is split. Now that's a seam split. So I'm thinking in my head, okay, it's a seam split. We can probably re-sew that. Not the worst. It's not torn. It's not damaged. Just the seam is split. So this is becoming a better deal to me. But we need to come down on the price a ton at this point. But I'm just getting information. So I'm going to collect all the information first. This is what you should be doing when you're looking at Facebook Marketplace. Collecting as much information about the car. That way you can come at them with the right price. And this is why I priced it this way, instead of just throwing out some lowball stuff right off the bat. And they're like, dude, you don't even care, you didn't even talk about the car. So then this is of course pretty much that same picture, of course. So now he's telling us that the door panel's off, and this is one thing I didn't realize about the SC chassis, how finicky these door panels are. Now SC chassis are terrible for door panels. So he just shows me, and he's got the original parts to put back on. He shows me the door panels off. I'm already expecting the motor to be bad. It's not a big deal. What I didn't realize is how hard those door panels are to find, and I didn't obviously know. The one that we got, pretty bad condition. Shocker. It says, thank you. Any other damage besides the exterior fender? So now I've got a picture of what the inside looks like. Now I want to target the exterior. Obviously, I'm letting him know that we saw some damage on the front driver's side fender. Is there any other damage for that? And you know, he's a good seller. He came back with, there is a slight dent over on the passenger rear quarter panel. Not preferred, not preferred. At this point, I was like, man, that's pretty damaged. The interior isn't great. The miles are so high. This car needs to come down a ton. I wasn't thinking in my head, I was like, this car needs to be $1,500. That's the only way I'm buying it. But it was still high. I think at this point he had trimmed down to like $2,500. I think he had come down already. He hadn't sold it yet, and when he needed to sell it, I was watching the listing, seeing that it was getting lower, and I was like, all right, he's a motivated seller, because that's what I was looking for. The car is complete, unmolested, it has higher mileage, and it is damaged a little bit, but let's keep going, let's keep digging, let's keep seeing. Before I hit him with the offer, I want him to know I'm serious, and I want him to know that I know what I'm talking about and what I'm looking for in a car, and I'm not just a hot boy trying to buy this car. And then here's where I say, thanks for sending the pictures over. I'm interested, but such high mileage and damage, I want to make sure it's going to make sense for me to buy this one. I was looking at multiple SC400s at this point, and I kind of wanted to let them know that without actually saying I was looking at multiple SC300s, but if you read it, you can read past the text and kind of get the hint. All right, you said the timing belt was done 45,000 miles ago. any major oil or power steering leaks enough to form drips. I want to know, basically look under the car for me and tell me if it's dripping anything. And then I specify what the new steering was, because that makes no sense in the listing. So he hits back with no major oil leaks. And then the power steering pump was replaced in 2017, and then the power steering pressure hose was 2020. So we're getting some information, and then he hits the timing belt that really doesn't have any information about the timing belt, but the previous owner told him that it was done. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna probably do a timing belt on this anyways. I want to get the full picture when I come at you with that price. Now he does send this picture right here, which is a bunch of receipts, which I was actually pretty impressed with, that they had kept receipts for any maintenance that was done on the car. It's nothing special. It's literally just AutoZone receipts that have little post-it notes on them that says what it was for. So I was actually impressed with that they had that. We hit them with, now we've got a full picture of the car. We hit them with the 1600, and we tell them that we're serious. And I let them know that's gonna go to a good home and be restored. Then we go ahead and set up the time, and at this point he had lowered this price to $1,600. At $1,600, I felt this car was a good deal, so I arranged to go down there the next morning, which was 4th of July. I drove over to Orlando, picked it up, and drove back. That is the story of how I lurked on Facebook Marketplace to acquire the newest project car for the channel, SC300. I thought it was a good price to get into the car that needed so much attention. So the story I got from the seller was he bought this car 6 months ago from somebody with the window motor already bad, with the door panel already off, with the AC compressor not working, and he had big ideas that he was going to replace all this stuff, get the AC compressor, get it recharged, like all this stuff. And this was his only car. It was a DD. This is where, like, on the 300ZX, people ask me all the time, should I buy these cheap 300ZXs and use them for a DD? You're gonna do exactly what this guy did, is get into the project, see it's way more than you can bite off, chew, take care of in a timely manner. It's gonna cost way more money and time, and you probably just should have bought something else. And then you're always gonna think that car was a piece of shit because you bought a piece of shit. Let's be honest. I bought a piece of shit knowing it was a piece of shit, knowing that we're going to make content with it and restore it. That's what happens all the time on Facebook Marketplace. If you think I make that stuff up, and not, because this is literally what I was going for when we went to go buy this car right here. Now we will enjoy the build. There's a couple more videos I've already got where we source parts to the door handle, and we're going to continue to restore this car, get the paint brought back, restore it, do the suspension, coilovers, put some wheels on it, make it look respectable, do maintenance. I mean, everything that needs to be, that's bad with the SC300, needs to be done on this car. So we're going to do all that here on this channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Check out the playlist I'm going to put up right now. I'll see you over there. Peace. Nice.